We have exclusive new information surrounding the U.S.'s response to Russia's involvement in the U.S. election. Tension between the two nations allegedly came to a head just days before voters headed to the polls. NBC's senior investigative correspondent Cynthia McFadden is here to explain all of that. Hey, Cynthia.
Good morning. Well, determined to stop any Russian meddling on Election Day, at least one of the President Obama's senior advisors urged him to take a harder line with Vladimir Putin. And according to intelligence officials offering exclusive details to NBC News, the U.S. even contacted the Kremlin directly with a method of communication traditionally used in times of crisis.
This morning, NBC News has learned of a rare and highly classified event that occurred just days before the presidential election. Two senior intelligence officials, both nonpartisan career officers, tell us on the morning of October 31st, the U.S. transmitted a message directly to the Kremlin, warning the Russians that the U.S. would consider any interference on Election Day a grave matter. The method of communication, the so-called red phone system, an email line directly linking Moscow and Washington via secure satellite. According to a senior U.S. official, part of the message reads, international law, including the law for armed conflict, applies to actions in cyberspace. We will hold Russia to those standards. Officials say the transmission was prompted by the widespread Internet attack on October 21st, when millions of Americans were blocked from accessing popular websites. Though U.S. intelligence now believes the Russians were not involved. Back in October, it was viewed by some as a possible dry run for a massive attack on Election Day. The outage spooked the White House enough to use the hotline, reserved for moments of crisis. The system has evolved over the years, originally put in place 53 years ago in the wake of the Cuban Missile Crisis, when America and the Russians were on the brink of nuclear war. Several intelligence officials tell NBC News using the so-called red phone system signifies just how serious the situation became. But one intelligence official tells NBC News he believes the message from the U.S. was, quote, muddled, with no clear warning about what the consequences might be. And in their response, that same official says the Russians were non-committal. Senior intelligence officials tell NBC News before the transmission was sent, President Obama was urged by at least one senior advisor to issue the ultimate threat to Vladimir Putin, that the U.S. would consider meddling on Election Day an act of war. But Mr. Obama opted not to issue a warning that specific, believing it would inflame an already tense situation.
What intelligence sources tell us is crystal clear is that neither the Russians nor any foreign government intervened in any way on Election Day. And just to be clear, there is not now, nor has there ever been, an actual red phone. The system is called the Nuclear Risk Reduction Center, and the Obama administration added a special cyber line back in 2013, and that is what was used here for the very first time.
Wow, fascinating detail in that report, Cynthia. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.